Hello everyone and welcome to Out of the Box on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Atitri, and whatever tribe you subscribe to, we are so glad you're here watching some runs that if you can watch, we know that you can do. Now you've probably seen a lot of Nintendo speedruns, a lot of Sega speedruns. There'll be a great Sega special this weekend on the Hotfix. Tune in for Sonic and the Sega All-Stars, both days of this weekend. But right now, it is time for you out there in the PlayStation Nation to get what you deserve. It is a 1, 2, 3 of PlayStation games that just happened to get sequence 3, 2, 1 for this evening. But that means we get to start with the absolutely fantastic Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped with Potty. Let's take it away.
Well, thank you for that amazing warped impression. That was amazing.
I had to hold back just enough to not blow out the microphone. It's something I'm still working on, but I'm glad you enjoyed.
Yeah, sounded good. Hey guys, welcome to Crash Bandicoot 3. This is going to be any % no item glitch, which basically translates to any %, but we get every crystal in the level that they originate in. So we do all 25 stages. So yeah, that's basically it. We're just going to get every crystal in the game and defeat Cortex, and that'll be the run. So going to take a death here before we start so I can set up some cycles. And yeah, we'll be about ready to start as soon as the main menu pops up here. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, good luck.
Thank you. All right, so first things first, we are going to enter the first stage, which is Under Pressure, and we're going to turn the sound effects off. This saves around 50 seconds to a minute in this game because it disables all the cutscenes. So if you remember, there will be a bunch of talking heads that will show up and of the bosses. And those don't play if you turn the sounds off. So that's why we do that. So Under Pressure here, it's water stage. Yeah, starting with a water level. Very cool, thank you. Basically, we are moving by mashing the spin and kick buttons, so X and square, and that allows us to go extremely fast. Normally, the movement in these levels is pretty sluggish, but if you're mashing these buttons, it's really quick. So yeah, this mech here we can boost with the circle button, and we're going to use very specific movement here to get around these rotators without having to wait on them. Normally they want you to go around in like a full circle, but you can get around them just by doing specific movement with well-timed spins and kicks, basically. So yeah, we grab the crystal and leave. We're not getting crates here, so super straightforward. Warped features a lot of vehicle stages, so they all have different control schemes and whatnot, so yeah, that'll be general rule of thumb here. Taking a break from vehicles here to go and do an actual platforming stage. Toad Village, the main speed tech in this game is neutral slide jumping. So if you remember in this game, there is a power-up once you beat the final boss that lets you run. And this tech actually goes about as fast as running, similar speed, like very similar. So all you do is you do a slide jump, which is just the circle button and then X. But the caveat is that you release the D-pad whenever you press jump. So this maintains your sliding momentum, basically. So it lets you go as fast as your slide while in midair, basically. So, and all you do is just release the D-pad when you press X. So it's just a constant switch up between slide, jump, and then releasing the direction I'm holding. So, and it's just really fast. It's even faster with invincibility, which you'll see in the next level. So yeah, I was talking about this earlier, but the theme of the stream today is like accessibility with the runs, and this, out of all the PlayStation like Crash games, like out of all the runs, I would say this is probably the easiest one to pick up and learn. So if you ever thought about running a Crash game, this would be it. It's really, really good for that. So yeah, Boneyard here, it's one of Crash's chase levels. You know, they're all over the trilogy. Stage where you really benefit from memorizing the layout. because if you don't know where all the hazards are, you will get hit by them. But yeah, we get invincibility here. Invincibility, I mean, you can't get damaged, but also your slide is buffed like tremendously, which means your neutral slide jump is buffed tremendously. So you can just absolutely pulverize everything in the way here. The only thing we have to avoid is the grass. If you are on the ground, whenever you touch it, it slows you down. So we want to be airborne every time we touch grass, quote unquote, touch it, or midair. So it counts as touching it because of the invincibility, but whatever.
All right, I'm adding to my notes. Be careful about when and how you touch grass.
Yeah, grass is like super dangerous in this game. Only 2 levels have it, so it's no big deal, but.
And you talked earlier on about memorizing kind of the layout of the level, but I feel like that's something the game really wants you to learn how to do casually, because every time, once you've cleared a level, you can go back and do time trials, and that's just kind of a natural part of getting good at the time trials and getting the relics if you're playing, for completion casually. So,
yeah, for sure.
Is there a particular difference between having that kind of faculty with the levels shape and how everything goes versus doing it in a speedrun context? Or is it really just that plus knowing good movement and a few other tricks?
Well, time trials are like relatively forgiving, I would say. They, when you know the tech, they leave a lot of room to, you can get the time without. Yeah. So when you do any percent, it comes down to these small little things. It definitely matters a lot more. It's mostly about not taking damage, though, because we want to maintain our masks throughout the run, because invincibility is so important. This is a tiger level, by the way. Every time you jump in this stage, you save a frame. So if you jump 30 times, you save a second, and we'll do a skip here. Normally there's an animation of Coco hugging the tiger when she gets off, but if you do that, you just skip it. So both stages have a skip like that. It's called Cuddle Skip. Saves about 6.5 to 7 seconds. It's a lot easier than it looks. I've shown I'm working on a guide for this game, and I've shown people my methodology and how to do it, and they're like, oh, I learned that in 5 minutes. So it's a lot harder, or a lot easier than it appears to be, essentially.
Sure. Yeah, so, you could write it up with hey, here's how you flowchart it 1, 2, 3, 4 in a guide. Some of these things you just have to see and try for yourself to really understand how they feel. Yeah,
just being able to see what buttons are being pressed goes a long way, I think. Something will look really daunting, and then you see the inputs, and it's oh, it's not that bad, actually, Yeah, jet ski level here. In any percent, jet skis are super chill. All you do is not get hit and just take okay lines. So there's not much to say about jet ski in any percent as a whole. You just get the crystal and leave. So not much to do here. If there's anything that you would want to talk about or ask me about, feel free.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of think about when I would see these levels or the plane levels that it was interesting that Naughty Dog and Insomniac both kind of came to the idea of adding these extra level types and ways of controlling the game to their titles around the same time, between Spyro 3 and Crash 3.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure they just did what they wanted to do in the first couple of games, and they were all right, we got to be super creative and inventive and all this stuff. So
right, everything that didn't make it into the first 2 games for time, they're asking us for a third one, so go.
Yeah. All right, Tiny Tiger's the first boss. I'm gonna not skip the cutscene right away. All right, there we go, because if I do, the music won't play, and I don't want to be stuck in limbo. So yeah, Tiny jumps a few times, and then on his final jump, he lands with his spear in the ground. That just doesn't hurt you, so you can just spin him when he lands. So I just count the amount of jumps he does. I think it's 4, and then 5, and then 6. So this will be 5 here. So yeah, and in this top left corner, they just didn't program it so the lions can hurt you. So you just stand up here and just spin. So super easy boss. A lot of Crash bosses are easy.
And then in Insane, if I remember, if you stand in this spot, they start throwing cheese at you.
Yeah, they knew about that. It's funny the things they reference. It's they missed some stuff, but then they knew about that. It's okay, it's crazy. But yeah, Tiny's gone. We get the super body slam, which will never be used, so that's pretty awesome. And yeah, we go to warp 2 now with 2 masks, which is great.
I've got a question in chat that you may want to address maybe on the next jet ski level, if you think about it then. Do the waves have an effect on your speed or direction in jet ski levels?
They affect your height when just in general, and that's really relevant in completion for getting crates, but in any percent, they don't really matter, no. Waves are actually on a dedicated cycle, so if you arrive at the stage at the same interval like every time, the wave will always be the same. So I could write like a thesis about waves, but I won't. They're a nightmare. They're like secretly one of the hardest things in the entire game, but that's completion. So
hey, I mean, for the purposes of having a good guide for all your categories, you probably will sooner or later, and people will thank you for it.
Yeah, I made a video. Oh, whoops! I made a video about a jet ski stage, and it was like 30 minutes. It's not. It's a big can of worms. It's okay. Yeah, Tomb Time. Like once again, you get invincibility, and the doors will stay open for you. If you saw there, the doors just stay open the entire time. So invincibility can also pause cycles. So like hazards that would be in the way, they just won't be in the way anymore. So normally those doors open and close on like 4-second intervals, but if you have invincibility, they just stay open. So that's great. Unfortunately, I did die there, but I just have to. The next level I can get like masks as a backup, so it won't be that forgiving later. So I hope I pick it up, but it's okay for now. Yeah, G-Wiz, basically just Toad Village again. Like a lot of these like platforming stages, like this is like the first theme in the game, so the levels are pretty tame. Yeah, they give you 2 masks right off the bat in this stage, so you know we just grab it and move on, no big deal. Once again, neutral slide jumping as much as I can, and if I can't fit a jump in, I will spin instead. Like if a jump will end up putting me in a position that's like not favorable, I can just spin, and that will give me a bit of a shorter distance, but it might close the gap to make the next jump better, basically. So it's like a spacing tool essentially, because spins and slides are on like a cooldown in this game, so you can't just spam them. You know, they have like a period of time where you can't do them anymore. So it's all about chaining moves together to a point where you're never like having downtime, essentially.
Yeah, and finding a good rhythm for it. Nope. I think people, if they played It's About Time and then came back to this, would have a pretty good sense. It wouldn't be exactly the same, but I know the time trials in that game almost kind of tutorialize you on doing your movement like this is when you get started with those. Yeah,
it's very similar. Funnily enough, the spin does not have a cooldown in that game, but the technique they make you use kind of acts that way. You know what I mean? Like,
true. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you have a cooldown, basically. So it's an interesting way to implement that. Hang 'em high here. This is the first like Arabian level. This level's a good showcase of how important Triple Mask is, because these monkey bars are really, really slow normally. But if you have invincibility, they are really fast. Wow, crazy. Yeah, this Triple Mask saves like probably 7 or 8 seconds. Normally triple saves like 3, 4 if your movement's solid. But this one saves like double that because the bars are so slow normally. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to wait on this enemy up here just to be safe, because I don't know what cycle I'm on. This guy can definitely get you. You don't have double jump yet, so you know he's kind of a threat. So I'll just get him out of the way. Don't want to lose my mask for warp 3, basically, but it's no big deal. And yeah, we just have 2 vehicle stages left. The last Tiger level, which is great. Get that out of the way, and doing perfectly fine so far. Perfectly fine. I had a thought, but I can't remember, so fill in while I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, if it comes to you, you got another 30 minutes or so. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll have plenty of time. But yeah, no, a couple of people have expressed interest on, wanting to make sure they got here in time for other runs this evening. So if you want to know what's coming up on Hotfix, you can check this week's whole schedule and explore the full season of shows at gdq.gg/hotfix. You can also use !OOTB to learn more about what this show Out of the Box is about. And I believe Creature Corner, the other show this evening, is !Creature. Don't quote me on that. Somebody will find it. Somebody knows what it is and will put it in the chat for me. And thank you in advance.
All right, so we're getting to the end of midnight run here. So once again, another cuddle skip, but this one's different from the last one. We actually use this enemy as a platform and then use that flagpole as a platform and jump off screen and land on that railing, which slides us into the ending. So that one's pretty cool. You need a mask for it, so you have to damage abuse on the enemy and then jump onto some scenery off screen. And yeah, that one's a bit tougher, but once again, like practice, it's not so bad. And another like 5-second time save there. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, Hog Ride next, the bike stage. This one's like a straight line. It's like the tutorial bike stage. So we get a boost at the start. There's like boost pads that put us in a wheelie. We basically touch the first one and then hold the wheelie the entire stage. So pretty basic here.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably smart of them to do this because between having all the cars in your way that, you know, in your first play, you were going to kind of test and see what running into them or trying to get around them was like. I feel like, especially on the later levels, getting around the cars is less forgiving on your casual play than you were expecting. But between that and players not necessarily knowing that the wheelie existed, giving an easy way to get started with this mechanic only makes sense. Yeah,
funnily enough, like the next bike level is the hardest one by like a lot. So it's like they give you this and then they're like, all right, good luck.
Right. Yeah. Lock in.
Yeah, the third warp room in this game is just generally like really, really tough. So and before we do that, we have to fight Dingo Dial. This fight, normally you have to avoid his attacks and then he'll shoot his flamethrower at you, destroying the wall around him. But we can use a tech called the glitched high jump to just jump over his entire wall completely and just hit him as soon as possible. So Dingo will sadly never get a chance to hurt me, but yeah, that's done by crouching and then pressing jump and spin close together. That gives you a little bit more height than what's intended. And that is also in Crash 2, so both games feature this tech that have the slide in it. So yeah, this boss is completely trivial.
I appreciate that when you jump inside the ice wall, you can just be up against him on the platform. He's just like, what? No.
Yeah, yeah, he can't do anything to you.
There's no close range attacks. Yep.
Nope. Okay, so now we have the double jump. Overall, you actually don't want to double jump very often, only when moving vertically, because the double jump will halt your momentum forward completely. So overall, I will try to avoid using it a decent amount, but it will come up a few times. A few times it will actually happen. So Deep Trouble, final water stage here. We actually do this now because we need to grab a mask. That's the main reason. So every other stage left like needs a mask to do, so we're just going to grab one here. If this cycle is lined up better for you, you can go immediately. This game has global cycles, so what that means is even if you're not in a stage, the cycle for that stage is still moving. So if I played like a previous level quicker, then that hazard would have been at a different spot. So this entire run is basically trying to link these things together so nothing is ever in your way, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot about this run.
Yeah, on some level, you're essentially chasing a task, such as it were. Because I'm sure people have done the work to figure out exactly where you'd need to be in each level to make the global cycle, you know, what people like to colloquially refer to as the God cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
That saves the most time.
Yeah. Yep, it's like you'll lose a second in a stage like 4 levels ago and be like, oh no, this level's gonna be all messed up. You know, it's like
everything else is perfect.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure. So I got hit there, so I have to go to a different stage. I was going to originally go to 13 here, but I'm just going to go to 11, get a mask. Luckily, you can go to some stages and grab masks, so it does have lenience as far as backups go. Once you need to back it up, you basically have to rank like which one matters the least in order. So you know that helps a lot. So yeah, Dynamite. Yeah, the grass is back, so got to avoid that as much as possible. This level also has the baby dinosaur, which is on like the cover of the game, I think. Yeah, we don't use it, by the way, but you know, it's there. So he's in his egg right now. We're just gonna leave him. He actually saves like, he doesn't lose or save that much time. It's like the process of like hatching him loses time. So it's better to just ignore him basically. But he has his own, you know, he has his own cool stuff with him. But another day we'll see him. But yeah, like we're basically just cutting corners as much as we can and getting through the lava. So we're gonna avoid these nitro here barely. Yeah, great. But yeah, this run also has all PS1 Crash games. Has zigzagging. Zigzagging is the process of alternating diagonal inputs when you're holding a direction. So say for now I'm holding down on the D-pad. So while I'm holding down, I'm also alternating down left and down right while I'm sliding or like in midair, and that actually speeds you up. So constantly when
you're technically inputting more directional vectors, something like that.
Crash just has more speed when you're doing diagonals. So when you spam them,
so
when you spam them,
doing diagonals,
yeah, basically, as long as I'm sliding or like airborne, basically, I'm trying to do them as much as I can. Because like when you mash them, you're technically still going in a straight line, but you are getting like more speed out of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like Crash 1 has it. You do it. If you watch a run of Crash 1, people will be like jumping and you'll see them wiggling in midair all the time. So yeah, all three games have this. Crash 3 is definitely the tamest for it. So if it's like, it seems like a daunting technique to do, to constantly be like moving the D-pad and stuff, then 3 is definitely the game to experiment with it, I would say. But I mean, it's still relevant all the time. Like, there are some jumps where you just won't make it if you don't do it enough, you know what I mean? Like, so it does matter in some instances. Yeah, doubleheader here.
It's not just about the speed, it's about the extra launch you get from being at a certain speed when you jump. It's a little bit of everything, sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. So that's doubleheader. It's the last like medieval stage. The medieval stages are really, really chill. There's not much going on with them. So now that I have 2 masks, finally I can do high time here. This is probably the hardest level in the run, I would say, with the strats that I do. So the invincibility here is like super cool if I can manage to string it all together. This level, just generally speaking, really tough execution, tough like cycles to make and put up with, tough enemies, all that. We're going to go out of bounds here. We're going to jump off this platform up on top of these bars. Going on the bars is slow, so we'll just go on top of them, you know, just go over them. All good. No big deal.
Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I would if I knew how.
Yeah.
I will
so we're gonna
check out this guide of yours.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to use that scenery there to slide into the tarp and then go off these carpets onto this tarp. And if I can hold triple long enough, I should be able to hold it till the end of the stage if nothing goes horribly wrong, which it could, but we'll see. You never know with this stage. Looks good to me. Yeah, cool. Nice. Very good. Yeah, so triple wore off right when I touched the ending there, so that was good. Yeah, nice high time.
That was excellent.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, extremely hard stage. Like, make no mistake. Very, very tough.
No, I don't doubt it. I imagine if you were going to IL anything in this game, it'd probably be that.
Oh, yeah. Like, the best thing about the Crash games is, like, the hardest stages are the most fun to practice, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, level's awesome. Yeah, Road Crash here, the hardest bike level, supposedly. If you're starting with this game, expect to lose in this level a lot, like the race. It's genuinely just hard.
That matches my childhood memories, to be sure.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's crazy. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cling to the side of the road, like, a lot. You just cut corners a bit better here. So, like, not touching the dark part of the dirt, but you can stay in, like, the green, basically. So, like, the brown is bad, and then, like, the green and blue is okay. So, yeah. Trying to stay away from these enemy drivers as much as I can, because if they sideswipe you, they can, like, bump you off the road, like, super easily. So, there's a boost pad coming here that I should be able to just completely skip this guy. Yeah. Gonna go for a trick here to hit a boost pad while keeping a wheelie around a ramp. The intended way is to like hit the boost pad and immediately go off the ramp. Going off a ramp kills your wheelie, and we don't want that. So we're going to try and go around it here if I can help it. Yeah, so I'm gonna touch the edge of that boost pad and go around the ramp so we hold the boost longer than intended, which allows us to go around this ramp up here also. So we just get to hold the wheelie for a super long time, which is great. Your turning is worse, so I do have to let go of it eventually, but yeah, like this makes the race a lot easier. You just cheat, you know? It's way easier.
Look, if everyone's experience from having played this casually is any indication, everything else on this course is cheating, so why shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's why you should like try and run the game so you can cheat and road crash. It's a good feeling. Yeah, super good. Good level, yeah. So that's warp 3 already. Third boss, Entropy. We are actually going to use our mask here. Not both of them, but one of them. Masks are so scarce in warp 3 or warp 4 that we're actually only going to lose one. So yeah, there's he basically shoots these orbs, and then afterwards he shoots lasers at you, and he's programmed to shoot the lasers after all of his orbs are gone. So we use this by, we're going to jump over to him. These like side things have collision, so we're going to get over to him and then take damage on the last orb he shoots, and that deletes it automatically, which starts the laser pattern as soon as possible. So you could do this twice, like once in phase 2, once in phase 3, but we need the mask for later, so I'm doing it once here. The completion category, 105%, does it twice. So yeah, we're just gonna go down here and chill. We cannot be harmed down here, so, you know, just a quick little break. That saves about 2.5 seconds each time you do it, so yeah, we save 2.5 by doing that. So now we just wait. All right, very good. If you jump over to him while he's doing that attack, he will insta-kill you. He does like an attack that, it's like a fail-safe, so you can't cheat in the fight, basically.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Or at least you can't cheat that way.
Yeah, they didn't think you'd be able to like stand down there, I don't think, so that's funny. Yes, now we have the Death Tornado Spin. It's essentially just like a hover move, so we can cover a lot more distance. It makes your attack last longer, and you can hover with it. So that's actually a useful power-up, you know? Very uncommon.
The equivalent of a long jump, although it doesn't keep the same arc on the way back down.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, jet ski, by the way. Yeah.
It's true.
There's anything going on?
All right, everyone get out your reading materials on the properties of waves in Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped.
Oh,
yes, I know those haven't been written yet. Keep checking back.
Yeah,
they'll be
yeah.
there.
I gotta
watch
crack
the video.
Yeah, I gotta crack the spine on that one day. Oh man.
Rude.
Yeah, so we just need to not take damage in this stage, which is relatively easy. If I do get hit, then yeah, it's a bit sad, but this is what it is. This stage is actually one of the hardest in completion, in my opinion, but in this, it's like nothing is happening. It's just nothing to do. You just wait.
Yeah, your lines are different. I know I've watched a couple of practice runs, and I've heard you say, like, oh yeah, no, I definitely did that level like I was going for 105.
Yeah, that's super easy to fall into that habit, because I've played 105 a lot more, so it's like, well, when you fall asleep at the wheel, it's like your hands just do the wrong thing. You know, it happens.
True.
Only jet ski thing worth noting is that if you hold like down in a diagonal direction, you like U-turn or do like a sharp turn, so that makes turning quicker. This is not in the remake, it's only in this game for some unknown reason. But yeah, if you ever see me turn sharp, it's you hold down and then like left or right depending, so that's pretty useful. The level's not over yet, by the way, just hold on. It's one of the longest levels in any percent for sure, but
yeah, no
it's
worries.
okay. It's all good.
Well, hey, while we got a second to build up some anticipation for the rest of the run, we can also build up some anticipation for SGDQ 2025 by letting you know about the SGDQ Ambassador Program. All throughout the month of June, that is up to now, there have been ambassadors streaming, but you can support Doctors Without Borders by joining the ambassadors communities in the lead up to SGDQ. You can use !SGDQ Ambassadors to check out the full schedule for that.
All right, so yeah, Tano Tales is done, so we get to celebrate by going to an actually hard stage. Tomb Raider, this is probably like, to like newer players, probably the hardest stage. The gimmick of it is basically there's water that rises and falls, and if you fall in the water when it's high up, it kills you instantly. So that's basically the main threat. There's like an insta-kill, like water mechanic in this level. So, and lucky for us, invincibility disables the water, so we're going to try and get this triple up here and use invincibility to blow through the level. I hope it should be fine. Yeah, once we grab this triple, the water will stay down until triple wears off. So when I slide down these slopes, I'm zigzagging furiously to get as much speed as I can because we need to outrun the water whenever the triple wears off. So
I like that they account for it not by turning the interaction off, but by moving the water away from you. Like, you wouldn't have noticed if you were playing casually in all likelihood, but that's very funny when you notice it.
Yeah, also if the water's all the way up and you have invincibility, it still kills you.
Oh, jeez, okay.
So that's, oh, also there's, I forgot this thing is here because it's not in 105, but you can bounce on this crate and go over top of this door. There's not actually a collision up there, so you can skip that door entirely, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there's Tomb Raider, totally fine. You see that as I got out of the stage, the water was coming up, so that's very good, very good.
Very clean.
Yep, nice. Still have both masks, so we are completely chill to go to Frenzy and Sphinx, so all good here. I mean, you know, once again, triple mask, very good in this level, as per like most levels in the game. Future levels notably have like gigantic enemies, like these guys, their hurt boxes, I don't know, like they're actually massive. They're just crazy. They'll hit you from like across the stage. They'll just be like, how did that hit me? So trying to avoid them as much as possible. Spinning also increases your hurt box, so if you ever see me spin next to a crystal, it's because I'm basically trying to like grab it as easily as I can. So if you ever buy a collectible in this game, you just want to spin most of the time to avoid missing it.
As long as you're not too close to any of the enemies with enormous hitboxes.
Yeah, exactly. Just never press square in this level. You'll be fine. But yeah, as I go through this part, you can see like how awkward it would be to traverse all this without invincibility. Like all the precarious motions you'd have to do. Like there's just so many hazards everywhere.
I remember. I'm sure most of chat remembers.
A blessed invincibility with our hearts. Amazing. But yeah, it's gone now, so we actually have to be careful a little bit. But the level's almost over at the same time, so all good. Avoid that thing there. That those like weird green platforms like shoot you up into a spin. They like shoot you vertically, and vertically is not horizontally, so we don't like that, so we just go over it. And yeah, Sphinxinator. Once again, we'll see triple like opening doors for us, keeping them open. Hopefully no waiting, we'll see. You can actually also keep doors open by damaging on enemies, so there may come a situation where I will damage on an enemy to keep a door open, but for now we have invincibility, so there's no danger here. There's an entire like section up here, but we're just gonna like skip all of it. It's fine. You know, your jump is really your jump's really far when you have triple, so you just go around it. Yeah.
It's always fascinating. This is kind of the era of game design where people, developers wanted to start doing kind of different versions of adaptive difficulty. So like in this game, when you've been doing really well and you have 3 masks, everything just gets easier from there. As opposed to like a Resident Evil where when you're doing really well, you get less ammo, the game tends to get harder, you know, zombies spawn in different places where they wouldn't have. It's interesting to see kind of the building blocks of modern game design start to come together in games like this one.
Yeah, this game doesn't really care if you do well. It does care if you do poorly, though. This game actually has like easy mode functions built in, like,
which is always nice.
Yeah, if you die a lot, a checkpoint will appear sooner. Also, like they'll give you masks when you respawn. Also, in the bike stages, if you lose the race or like exit the stage a certain number of times, the cars will move slower, which is actually a bad thing. Because
yeah, I can see
because we have like we know where the cars are normally, So when they're slow, it kind of messes us up. Yeah, bye-bye blimps. The goal of this stage is to essentially line ourselves up with the blimps across the map. So we're trying to line our bullets up so they hit as soon as the blimp spawns in, so we can hit them from as far away as possible. We can't hit them across the map because it's PS1, it doesn't load that far. So we basically try to line ourselves up when they spawn in. And also, when you shoot the blimp, it like slightly lowers. So you want to be aiming at the lower half of it initially. If you aim at the upper half, you'll start to miss because they do sink down ever so slightly. So other than that, it's a straightforward level, you know, super simple. Yeah, the engine fight here. This is I don't even know how to describe this fight. It's like a plane level, except there's just a boss in front of you. You don't fly anywhere. So it's like, I don't even know. You just shoot the targets, I guess. There's like glowing parts that you shoot. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot the glowing parts. Mainly, I want to break a shoulder before the first gun comes out, which I do. And then hopefully I can do a lot of damage to this shoulder and then kill the last gun. Yeah, that's great. So we can kill this final shoulder here last, which is the best order to do things. There's a second phase, more targets to hit. So we're going to hang on this left side and hopefully break this as quickly as we can. All right, that was a bad pattern, but it's okay. So we break that, and then we try and do as much damage to this right side as possible. If you get a good pattern, you can get both of those side bits in one go, which is really good. If not, it's okay. It's no big deal. And yeah, we get this top half last here because they're all together, basically. Yeah, this fight is super tough when you're starting out. It's just like overwhelming. It's very common to die here as well because he does like a lot of damage. I mean, I got hit once, but if he hits you, it's a lot of damage at once. So you can definitely get bursted down really quickly here. And yeah, we get the bazooka. Yeah, guess what? Never being used. Wow.
No, of course not. Yeah, you know, I would say that was legally distinct Star Fox, but honestly, having the 2 extra years of design and the people who know how to make the hardware really sing, like that felt fundamentally different than the bosses back in Star Fox, just from how smooth the gameplay was, how many more projectiles they were throwing in there. Like,
it really is.
I think most people would take that boss fight over most of the ones in Star Fox, nostalgia aside.
I never thought about that. It is really Star Fox coded. Now that you say, I never put those together. That's funny. Also, engine takes your masks away. Plane levels take your masks. So, yeah, we're back to 0. But this level has 4 masks in it, so we can just go here and replenish all of them. I'm gonna wait on this door. Maybe I could beat it, but I'll wait anyways. It's fine. No big deal. Yeah, so this is the last level in the game, technically, level 25. And it's a tradition, like, after this game, to make the last stage, like, have a forced triple in it. It's, like, right here. So you get invincibility, and it just lets you, like, plow through everything. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's a benefit of the levels being, like, any order you choose. Like, for example, because if you did not have masks coming into Warp 5 and you couldn't go here, that'd be terrible. It'd just be awful. Like, a lot of stages in Warp 5, well, 2, that really want you to have masks, so... But yeah, we skip most of the stage with invincibility as per usual, and then crystals here. So, also tradition in Crash PS1 is levels that are dark. I don't know what their fascination is with this gimmick, but there's just a lot of stages in the games where it's dark and there's a thing that makes it bright and it's on a timer. Obviously the timer doesn't matter for us, but they love that gameplay. I don't know why, but it's all good. So yeah, we have one more future, one more Arabian level left, and then 2 vehicle stages after. So game's wrapping up here. The levels don't chill though, you know. I make it sound like it's over, but the game does not think it's over, let me tell you.
No, you already gave the explanation on how scary the enemies in the future levels are here, so every one of these is just as tough as the last.
I mean, look how scary they are. That guy's terrifying. I wouldn't want to mess with that guy. Like,
you've got projectiles, you've got giant hurt boxes, you've got to calculate how long and how far you can get with your invincibility before you need to start dialing it back. You need to make it onto the platform.
That's the worst. That's the worst part. It's funny because jumping on platforms in this game, if you like slide jump onto them, it does what's called a stick, which is you'll just snap to it. So like instead of your jump rising you up, you will instead just snap to it. So like the verticality of the jump gets canceled and you immediately touch the platform. I didn't slide there, which is why I couldn't get on it. It's pretty funny. This platform doesn't matter though, it's flat. Like platforms on an incline, which is like 90% of them, you would like slide jump onto them. That's like a 105 thing though. You don't really touch these in any except for this, which I couldn't do. So that's pretty ironic, but it's okay. And yeah, this guy's really scary until you like go around him and then he's not, but you know, it's okay. Whatever, he tried his best. It's okay. Flaming Passion. This level doesn't work. The Arabian levels are really they're really laggy, basically. This game loads sections in chunks, and if you hit a point where it loads a chunk, then the game can like drop frames a bit, and then like your input, if you press that button on like during the pause, you know, your input won't come out, or it'll come out late, which also would equate to it not coming out. So a lot of the time you'll get to this level and just slide and then he won't jump and you'll just fall and die. So that's not very good, but you can avoid them for the most part. If you know a lot about the game, you know, it takes a while because none of this is like visibly apparent, but also nice tech to get through the tarp there with a body slam. That's pretty cool. Body slam just ignores collision like that for some reason, so we just get to phase through the tarp. Pretty cool. Yeah, basically I'm just trying to sugarcoat it. Like if I die randomly, it's not my fault, guys. Yeah, definitely.
I was actually about to be like, oh, okay. So the fact that I was terrible at this stage casually, it was entirely my fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the lag. Yeah. That flaming was good though. No complaints. So yeah, we get to do Mad Bombers next. Now that we don't need masks, we can just go to the airplane stage. This level's, I couldn't beat this level when I was a kid. I had to get my brother to do it, so I finally learned, which is great. Basically, there's these 5 planes, and they all have like engines. They have to take out 2 different engines. Not the boss, like the other engine.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think you could fit that many engines on screen at once.
Yeah, this PS1 we're talking about, we can't do that many engines. Yeah, these planes do like way too much damage. Like basically if you press square, you spin in the plane, and that makes you immune to bullets. They don't tell you this, but maybe the manual tells you. But if 2 of them are shooting you at once, you will like, your health will just
you're down
like evaporate
already, or you were.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's knowing what to do. Like, if you don't know what to do, it's crazy. If you off-screen them, they can't shoot you though. So that's kind of like you do like a camera trick to not take damage. But yeah, I'm gonna try and sneak some damage in on this guy real quick, if I can help it. So if it works out, I can get this plane right now. Just shy, yeah. So if that last plane was better, I could have reached this guy immediately. But you know, it's okay. It's no big deal. Yeah, that's a big thing in Mad Bombers, like hitting that plane in time to reach that one. You can see I was barely out of reach of it when I was looking straight at it, which is, you know, a little slow, but it's not a big deal. Regardless, as long as you don't die, it's fast. It's like how speedruns work, right? It's probably how they work.
It helps.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Orange Asphalt. You know, it's a bike level. There's some weird trivia with this level that makes like no sense. There's also some tricks that you haven't seen on the bike as well. You know, the bike's got more moves to it, you know, secret moves that aren't intended, but you know, it's okay. Notably, the dirt in this level, only this level, don't know why. The dirt has like a smaller hurt box to slow you down. So like you can actually like go into the brown part a little bit and not get your wheelie caught. So you can like cut corners even shorter than normal. It makes no sense. I don't know. Like this turn, for example, you can just like, that probably would have stopped me on a different stage, but in this level it doesn't. So I don't know.
Like in golf, you know, you got the fairway, then you got the rough, then you got the deep rough. And as long as you're not in the deep stuff, you can keep playing. Yeah,
exactly. Hole skip there. Not intended, but you are like straight lining on certain parts of holes. You can hold the wheelie over pits. So that's a cool thing in Orange Asphalt. I think they're in other stages, but they don't really like line up RTA very well. So only Orange Asphalt has them mainly. There's a really good one at the end that you skip over like 3 holes at once, if I can try and line that up properly, but yeah, I mean, I'm already in first, levels like halfway over. So, like compared to Road Crash, just like so easy, you know. So
yeah, what they don't tell you is the long one means if you're good at it.
Exactly.
Look at that boost pad putting you at like a 30-degree angle compared to how you came into it.
Yeah, they put you at set angles. Yeah, so this should work. Maybe, I don't know. Don't quote me. Yeah, you'll just skip over all the pits here. I hope. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. So they want you to like go off the ramps. I don't really care. So, you know, just go over them like that. No problem. Yeah, Road Crash. Random Road Crash tangent again for no reason. That level's the only motorcycle level that's actually a circle. So like it loops back to the start. The others are straight lines. So I think that's why it's harder, because there's like a bunch of tight turns to make it a circle.
Okay, good. I had just enough time to write "this should work, don't quote me" in chat as we got to the part where you were doing it. So
very good, very good. Oh, final boss. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we're done. Yeah, Cortex, basically the masks are like fighting during this fight. So it's like the brothers are fighting and we're fighting together. So they're a hazard while they're fighting, which is a pretty cool idea for a boss, I think. But essentially we just have to dodge their attacks while Cortex shoots at us. And then after he's done shooting, he'll throw a set of 5 mines out. The distance they are thrown is random. And what we want is him to not throw them close to where he currently is. So we want room right where he's at, because we can spin him off of his board and throw him into the pit, which is how we deal damage. So we're basically looking for bar throws here, which those are not, by the way, in case you're curious. This is a really bad pattern, but it's okay. It can just be very dangerous or just slow if they're bad. So but phase 3, you can alleviate it. Time's coming up when I grab the shoes power up and close the menu, so I'll let you know when that is. So they do these giant like explosions, and during the third one, it actually can destroy Cortex's mines. So I'm gonna stand here, and this will make the explosion destroy some of the mines, so I don't have to deal with the RNG that they bring. So yeah, destroyed one there. Sadly, it didn't matter, but it's okay. We'll just do a slow hit on phase 3. It's fine. Yeah, that RNG is pretty bad, but it's okay. All right, let me grab the shoes, and that's time right there. So there you go, GG.
Very nice. Yep. Looks like it's about a 45 and a few seconds.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think I died I died in tomb time, and I missed a few triples. Yeah,
that and some unkind boss RNG, but a very solid performance.
Yeah, good run. 45 is a good run for sure. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/Potty. I run the PS1 Crash games. I run Crash 3 105% predominantly. I've been lowering that for a long time now, probably like over a year and a half. So, you know, if you want to see the completion category of this run, then feel free to check it out. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate y'all watching, and hopefully learn something and enjoy Crash 3.
Always, especially with you running it here for us on Out of the Box. So thank you very, very much for that, Potty.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, you out there absolutely. You out there in the audience, don't go anywhere. There's still more PlayStation domination to come. Coming up next, we've got Ratchet and Clank going commando with Marathon Man. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Out of the Box on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Atitri, and you're in the middle of an all PlayStation show. We are excited to bring you more great PS1 and PS2 action. You know, if your favorite part of Crash 3, the previous run, was the bazooka, which isn't in the run itself, but if you liked playing around with the bazooka, maybe this next game will be right up your alley. Coming up next, we've got a run of Ratchet and Clank going commando with Marathon Man. Marathon Man, show us how a few guns can make a big difference.
Thank you. Welcome. My name is Marathon Man. I've been labeled many other monikers in my life, but we'll go with Marathon Man today. Welcome to Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. If you're a fan of orange space cats and big guns, this is the game for you. Joining me today is Big Chickenator. If I call her Davina at any point, that's who I'm referring to. Thank you again for being here.
I'm happy to be here. It's going to be such a cool run.
I'm very excited. Before we start, I couldn't miss an opportunity when I saw one. So I know Games Done Quick, is a Red Bull sponsored program. So, ready to go.
Very good. I appreciate you being appropriately fueled up for this one.
Absolutely. I've been waiting. All right. If everyone is ready. So how this works is I will load a file and there will be a few ship transitions that are like a loading screen. I will count down from the final one from 4. So if everyone is ready.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. So count with me. We got 1 load screen. We got 2 load screens. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go.
All right. So, first thing we got to address, this is Ratchet 2. The Ratchet and Clank games are kind of noteworthy which is funny given the context of this show. As far as speedrunning go, the New Game Plus, what's the opposite of out of the box?
Right. Extensive setup, those sorts of things. The run that needs to be prepared.
That's, I think, where most people would say that the Ratchet and Clank games shine. Space Cat, big guns, a lot of cool armor, a lot of things to level up, and this is out of the box, so we got none of that. We got the bare minimum, and that's fine because we got the bare minimum, and that's all we need. It's out of the box.
I was gonna say, you still just had a combat session filled with giant explosives, 45 seconds into the run, so.
Yeah.
Len, I see that you're wrench cancelling those bumpers, so you have enough time to throw the next one quickly.
Yeah, that's a tiny little thing you can do. So there's like a refresh rate when you shoot the big bomb there, the gravity bomb, and you can swing the wrench to cancel the animation and then fire immediately. That's going to be very important because once we get to the second half of this run, so I'm just going to let you all know straight away, straight from the horse's mouth, this category is really hard. And once we get to about halfway through the game, there's a non-zero chance I can die in one shot to almost anything. So once we hit about the halfway point, I'm secretly going to be praying that I don't die at any point. Hopefully no accidents.
Yeah, no, I get that. And that could be part of the fun of a run. I run a couple of games that are like roguelikes where once you get your head around them and you have the good mechanical knowledge like you clearly do for this game, there are like additional difficulty modifiers that you can turn up, and it definitely put you into situations where the whole run can be taken down in one shot. That's a kind of excitement all its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a new feature.
Yeah. So here's the first boss, and I'd like to think I did a good job. Oh, I died. Never mind. Okay, I did an awful job. It's okay. So here's the first boss, and we're just gonna sneak right around him. He's not too scary. Don't be fooled. And if I do this next part correctly, normally they want you to go around this giant store, and the room we need to get into is on the other side of this wall up here. So just need to get up here, and hopefully we can hit the continue point right from the other side. And so when I die here, I should spawn in the final room.
I completely skipped the cutscene that was supposed to play here too.
So something else to note is this is normally where you would have the first ship section. There's a few spaceship Ace Combat style sections, but you can actually skip this one for some reason because it's not really a planet or an area that you can revisit. It's just meant to be like, oh, here's a random encounter almost. And for some reason, if you scroll down in the menu and then exit the ship, like I guess the game's like, realizes that you have a different planet selected. And so even though you haven't chosen to go there, I don't know. That's one of those things where like, why does that work? I don't know, but it works.
Right. It's almost as though the game is coded to have you in a tutorial right now, and by you doing something that you'd be doing later on in the game, it's like, oh, well, you're not in the tutorial anymore. I guess we'll just let you go.
Yeah. And we are going to have to come back to this area a little bit later, so it's important to note that I'm going to have to scroll up in the menu. Otherwise, they will put me back.
So I think it's amazing that you hit that Wupash skip, because I was giving it a go last night, seeing if I could do it. It's actually pretty difficult. It definitely takes some expertise, and seeing you nail it was really cool.
It's really funny because on paper, it's 2 buttons. It's triangle down. That's it. How hard could that be? And thankfully, I got it first try here, but I've seen, and I've needed 30 seconds to do it. It happens.
It's a very, very cool skip. Very, very interesting. Saves, I think, are like a minute and a half in the run because you skip that entire section.
Yeah. Normally, Wupash, there's 2 waves of enemies you have to clear out, and it can take like a minute and a half. So, and it's funny too because that method originally it was just supposed to be like faster ship menuing, like to get from planet to planet. And a runner named Vol did it there, just on a whim, just like, yeah, it saves half a second, so might as well try. And then skipped the whole tutorial and was like, wait a minute. That was a very pleasant surprise we all woke up to.
Hey, this...
It's really
Goes to
cool
show why.
seeing
Sorry, you go ahead, Chicknator.
Sorry. I was just going to mention that that is really awesome seeing the macaronis for momentum, but also height, as we saw in Oozla earlier, to get over a jump without using the dynamo puzzle. I thought that was really, really interesting and cool to see. Very like cool experience trick of knowing when to hit that height.
Yeah, there's a lot of tiny nuance. There's a lot of different ways to move throughout this game. How I always described this category is like I kind of think of it like Pokemon. So right now we're the starter. We're Mudkip. That's the best starter in one Mr. Man's opinion. This planet in Daco is where we're gonna go get Clank, because the game's called Ratchet and Clank, but we're just Ratchet right now. So we need Clank. It's not the same without him. So that's the second evolution. I'm gonna attempt to skip a pretty significant part of the level here by very precisely climbing. I'm so glad I got that first try. That's really hard, and it's very easy to either fall into the other room and then you're trapped in there. But thankfully that didn't happen. That skips like 30 seconds or so worth of climbing about and some other puzzles you have to do. So we get Clank on this planet, and that's like the second evolution. We're gonna have a lot more movement options opened up. And then about 35-ish, if you're keeping score, minutes into the run, that's when we get our final form. But we'll talk about that more when we get there. For now, just more puzzles.
It's important to note that the camera in this game is also treated as a bit of a physical object. So you might have seen that Marathon Man was rotating his camera to be able to clip through a wall significantly. I think, is it because the camera pushes you?
Yep.
Yeah, because the camera pushes you and you're able to clip through that wall. You might see that quite a bit. It's a very interesting technique, and it is pretty difficult, especially at times. I know I can't quite get it yet.
It's kind of a relatively new thing as of the past couple of years of running this game, where the principle of the camera being a physical in-game actor and having its own collision and everything. So we've been able to kind of use that to our advantage to either push Ratchet out of bounds or
Clank?
We'll see. There's some weird movement stuff you can do with it, but it's pretty wild, honestly. It's I don't know. Like I said, a lot of nuance with this game. All right, so here's our boy. Here's Clank. This is normally like a minute and a half long section, but hopefully with our new friend as of the past few years, the camera. I'm going to. Is he? He's being stubborn. There we go.
Clank.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, see, I thought we were trying to get on top of that geometry. Silly me, there was another platform inside of the geometry.
Dude, that one's much easier. So there you go. That's me trying to punch into a corner and then using the camera to push Clank through the wall. And that saves about a minute and a half of going about, and there's gadge bots and one of my favorite characters in the game, the bridge bot, but we don't ever see him.
Rip bridge bot.
Bridge bot was a good man. Okay, so I mentioned.
Hard for me to.
Oh, sorry. No, you're fine. So I mentioned
I was
now.
saying it's.
Oh,
You go.
you go ahead. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Please continue.
Okay, so I mentioned now we have Clank, so now a lot of movement options opened up. We can long jump now. I have the thruster pack out. When you get Clank, he has 2 packs. The thruster pack is faster for the moment, but once we unlock our final form, we're going to be seeing the helipack, the other version, quite a bit more. But now we can thrust forward. Oh, it's going up really fast. Okay, so we don't, like I said, this game is usually all about like all the crazy weapons and whatnot that you can get, but we're only going to use a couple, and we're only going to upgrade a couple, 3 I think in total. So we upgraded the first one now, which is going to be very useful for the first actual boss, which is coming up right here. So this is Thanos. Like I said, this category gets pretty hard, so Thanos gets pretty mean later. But hopefully he's nice to us for today's demonstration. This first fight's not too bad. But one thing to note is I'm ending the boss fight with our other weapon, the gravity bomb. That way, all the XP we get from killing that boss goes into the gravity bomb instead of the gun that we already have upgraded. So, like I said, we don't have that much time throughout the course of the run to upgrade everything, so we're trying to min-max time as much as we can.
It's like how that whole last platform was skipped just then, where you didn't have to use the swing shot to get it down, you just thrust it across it. Oh,
Okay,
back
so-
to Maktar.
Back to Maktar. And I did remember to go up in the menu. So we are not seeing the ship tutorial, thankfully. So normally they want you to go around with a gadget called the tractor beam, which we skipped getting entirely. So there we, ooh, not quite. I'm trying to get underneath the base of this platform, but on the other side of the fence there.
So you're climbing up the edge there in a way. That, oh, okay. You're using the pack immediately on the climb animation.
Yeah.
Yep, just skipped a whole path in Maktar just to get to the end to that jamming array there, which is very cool to see. Skipped a whole gadget picking up on Oozla too.
Yeah, the tractor beam only, like, casually has a few uses. This is actually probably the main one, so we don't really need it. So we're just gonna skip it. It's a shame though, because the cutscene where you talk to the scientist is pretty funny. But we'll have to save that for a different playthrough.
Oh yeah, no, if you're not casually acquainted with this game, it has a ton of charm, as do all the Ratchet and Clank games. Dialogue is genuinely like second only to the big guns as far as the reasons to play this series and these games.
Well said.
Oh wow, only 2 transponders left already.
This is kind of an interesting thing that they introduced in the second Ratchet game, which is moon worlds. Kind of, now, this game came out first. However, kind of like Mario Galaxy, if you want to think of it like that. And we'll be seeing one more a bit later.
Oh, pack switching to skip to that part. That's really cool. Avoiding like having to go down and do another puzzle again. You just went right over there to that transponder.
Pack swapping is used a couple times throughout this run. If you are familiar with the first Ratchet and Clank game, it's used all over that run because it's a great way of building speed very quickly in that game. It has its uses
Nice.
here.
Also
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to mention the wrench swing that you used to get that like little extra like bump to your jump there, so you could hit the end. You also use that on Oozler to skip the boss.
Yeah, it seems clear that there's a lot in how your movement goes to like knowing when you are above or below a platform and making that work to your advantage. You know, on the way in towards the transponder section, you clearly had to know how to be under, which was aided by being hanging off of the platform, but still. And like that time, I could imagine if you were still getting used to that movement, if you wrenched too early, you could end up off the edge of the platform or otherwise under it and not make that jump.
A lot of, I keep using the word nuance, which, speaking of nuance, we got to talk about this next part. So, big shout outs to Robo. In the past 2 years, a very prominent runner and more prominent strat hunter. They came to us one day with a holy grail, which is going to look really silly. Oh, okay, there you go. So there's a lot to get in here, but I'll try and give you the diet version. There's a race checkpoint that conveniently lines up with, you see that line to my left that I'm trying to pause at? Where if you enter and exit one frame apart, you can just, like, the game will register that the lap was completed. It's really silly. Unfortunately, it is frame perfect. Like I said, you have to enter and exit exactly one frame apart.
It's very interesting when new people come into to see Ratchet and Clank 2 speedrunning for the first time and they happen to see someone driving directly at a wall. I've seen many a time people ask questions about that, but it's a very cool skip. Saves a lot of time.
It can. As you saw,
Yeah, it can.
As you saw, I had a 5-second lap and then a 51-second lap, so there's definitely some variance, but hopefully, okay, 120. 120 is fine. I'll say this: a normal 3-lap race, a good normal 3-lap race is about 212. So 120. Someone who's better at math can tell you about 50 seconds.
Yeah, 50 seconds times 3 laps would be easily be, that's 150, which is like 230. So. It's one of those tricks that has the combination of looking very silly, which is always a plus, being and giving you a lot of attempts at it before you're actually losing time over doing it casually, which also it feels more beginner friendly, even though clearly the trick is quite difficult. But yeah, it kind of felt like you were trying to catch a single drop of water in a bucket and then carry it back to the starting line.
That's a perfect way of putting it. So this is the first, well, technically the second since we skipped the first, but of 3 mandatory ship sections, and this is the only one that we're going to do normally. But a big thing to note is I'm trying to collect 10 Raritanium, which we'll use to buy some ship upgrades later. But Raritanium is kind of random. I think I have 4 right now? Okay, I just got 4. So I need 10 by the end of this. So hopefully RNG is nice to us. Otherwise, we're gonna have to do it live, which I guess we are doing it live. So
yeah, I have some good news about that.
we'll have to do it more live.
Just a little more.
It's live, but we're sticking to a script. I'm gonna go after this one here, just in case. When I was doing practice runs of this yesterday, some I would have 18, 19, 20 Raritanium, and then others I would have 7. So if that gives you an idea of the variance. We have 8 right now, so we only need 2 more. If they're really lucky, then, and I see one, so we're at 9. Just okay, we have 10, perfect. So if we get to 15, I can buy 1 extra thing, which will make the remaining 2 ship sections a little easier. But if it doesn't, that's kind of a bonus. You know, a bonus. It probably only saves a few seconds. But if you get it, it's oh, that's cool.
So this is technically the first ship section now, because we skipped Woopash earlier, which would have been the initial first section.
Yeah, this would have been kind of a lot to get into if you somehow managed to skip the tutorial casually.
Yeah.
All right, the game heard you talking up the idea of getting 15, though it didn't seem to like that one. But we got our 10.
That's okay. Like we said, it's out of the box, so no bells, no whistles. We put the disc in and we play the game.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to this. Speaking of silly, this planet is really funny. I don't know why any of this works the way it does, but I'm just gonna swim under the level with water that normally you get eaten by a shark if you try and jump through. I don't know. But that's not even the weirdest part. So underneath is this info bot. Now, if you've played this game and you've played Ratchet 1, you'll be like, oh yeah, info bots, they were in Ratchet 1, but they're not in this game. So why is he here? I don't know. But he's there. He's just hanging out. Why is he there? I don't know. Why is he obtainable? I don't know.
You'll have to ask whoever programmed this level.
Insomniac, please. I'm very curious.
I mean, debug items, if you've ever watched the likes of Boundary Break, the series on YouTube, debug items do often end up somewhere in a world map, but outside of sections that players are ever expected to contact. If they're just testing, hey, how do items interact on this world? They're going to put something out in the void and potentially just leave it there because it's not like a player will ever interface with it, right? It's not like a player, 20 years later would ever show it off on a live stream of the video game on the internet.
They were so mean. They put the infobot underwater. Like, not only is this infobot hanging out, but they put the poor thing under the water in the level. That's not fair. It's not very nice.
I mean, it doesn't seem to bother the infobot any, so there's that at least.
That's true.
He's just chilling. And now that I have enough money to buy the coordinates that we do need, I'm chilling too.
Nice.
Woo!
I got my Red Bull, I got Ratchet and Clank, I got all my friends.
Well, hey, while we're talking Red Bull, I can let you know that prize submissions are currently open for SGDQ 2025. You can visit gamesdonequick.com for more info on how to submit prizes. Anyone want to make a miniature infobot to submit? Please don't submerge it in water if you do submit it to the marathon.
Yeah, I would not recommend that, but please.
Actually, that would be kind of hilarious as like a ship in a bottle thing. Just have an infobot in a bottle.
There used to be this toy called Aquapets, where it would be like a little doll submerged in water held by strings, and you pressed a button and the strings were pulled and it did a little dance. Make the infobot do that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm looking this up. I was not familiar, but no, I can see the vision.
Okay, so the reason why I needed 10 Raritanium, there's a weird thing you can do on the PS2 version of this game where if you attempt to buy something at the Ship Shack that you can't afford and then buy something you can afford, it just gives you the thing you can't afford.
Nice.
I don't know. Maybe they feel bad. So we bought the nuke, which is very important, and then empowered lasers, which will make the remaining 2 ship sections very short. So right now, I'm going to attempt to upgrade our second weapon, which there we go, beautiful. And there we were able to skip the level up animation, which looks really cool, but also wastes time. So we try and skip them whenever we can.
Chat generally agreeing that they prefer their lasers empowered. Chat, please type 1 if you like your lasers empowered.
If someone please type 1 on my behalf. My hands are a little busy right now, but it is most certainly a 1 from me.
I will add 1 to the tally.
Thank you kindly.
It's amazing to see how much the Lancer, when upgraded, completely obliterates the health of bosses. It's awesome because a lot of people by now, especially casual players, would be experimenting with other weapons, but underestimating the power of this early game weapon.
Yeah. Actually, the weapon that we just upgraded, the gravity bomb, is one of the more powerful weapons in the game, which is funny because it's a starting weapon. That's actually kind of a trend. Is they secretly give you one of the strongest weapons in the game, and maybe you don't know. This game has the gravity bomb, like I said, when upgraded. Ratchet 3, the actual starting weapon, the shock blaster, is the best weapon in the game. Both for damage and speedrunning, it's actually really funny.
Yeah, the health is just being annihilated there.
I mean,
Yeah, so-
you are using miniature nukes. I'd be surprised if it didn't have some significant impact.
And like we said, swinging the wrench at the end of throwing a nuke there
Cancels that animation.
refreshes the fire rate. All right. So this is the last of the very simple missions, or simple planets rather. We're just kind of schmooving right now. At the end of this planet, we're gonna have to collect 10 crystals to repair our ship, but it's pretty cut and dry.
Okay. We got a question, or kind of an implied question in the chat, and it may be relevant to this category specifically. The question is, so the shock blaster is better than the Rhino? They're asking you to kind of confirm or deny.
For Ratchet 3?
Yeah.
Now what looks cooler?
Fair.
Actually, a fun fact about the Rhino in Ratchet 3 for speedruns is that we don't actually upgrade it all the way. Because the version 4, and they cap at version 5. For some reason, the version 4, some weird way that the damage was coded. I'm not the best person to ask with the technical explanations. But I don't know. You can actually combine it. Ratchet 3 has a similar weapon to the mini nuke that I'm using now. You can combine the two, and the damage it's pretty funny.
I also have to apologize to chat on Marathon Man's behalf for not bringing up funny rock cutscene before we were already past it.
Oh no!
Sorry about that.
Next
there
time.
was a non-zero number of requests for funny rock cutscene.
Next time. All right, so we have our 10 crystals. Now we're just dying here is actually faster than walking back to the ship. So if everyone would cooperate, that would be wonderful. Okay.
Team effort.
So, like I said, about halfway through the run, the game starts getting difficult. Well, let me skip this cutscene. Let me check my watch. We're about halfway through the run. So, at this point, almost everything moving forward will kill me in 1 or 2 hits. So, we are hoping for no accidents. You see that very large yellow vendor off in the corner? That's to buy armor. And armor is nice, but also costs money, which we don't have, and money takes time to get, which we don't have, so we don't really need it.
Oh, you're doing things with the decoy glove now. Very cool.
So here's another example again of the camera being a physical object. I'm basically going to try and proxy off of it using by pushing the camera up against Ratchet and then throwing the decoy. And it's a pretty nice way to get height very efficiently. And then that dude scared me for a second there. Like I said,
scary.
Like I said, you died very fast. So, but thankfully, no accidents. We have another moon world, but this one's a bit different. We have my favorite returning Pain. It's Thanos, and this time he's got a Gundam, so that's cool. I have Giant Clank. See, no offense to Clank, but the Gundam would be kind of sick. But Giant Clank's cool too. The basic concept here is we're going to try and jump on his head as fast as we can. And hopefully he does not. Sometimes he likes to just run away. I mean, I guess if someone jumped on my head repeatedly, I would want to run away too, so I don't blame him, but I'm also trying to go fast, so I would like him to stay still, which it looks like he's being nice today, so. All right.
Straight lines, at least. Easy to follow along.
Well done.
Yeah, imagine I was the villain trying to have an old-fashioned kaiju fight where we were just gonna slug it out, and suddenly my opponent just comes bouncing around like the Iron Giant. Yeah, I don't think we're fighting the same way.
Now, I would love to see Iron Giant versus a kaiju. Now that's a separate conversation.
Okay, Iron Giant versus Clank Mech. Who wins? Who takes it? I mean, it's one of those like mistaken identity fights. You don't see them. You can't imagine them actually fighting each other for realsies. So it's only until somebody realizes that they're on the same side. But still,
I mean, Iron Giant is Superman, so I might have to side with Iron Giant.
they're pretty similarly strapped, if I remember right. Iron Giant technically does have a lot of weapons, even if he's rarely inclined to use them.
Iron Giant could win with Ratchet coming back with a vengeance.
I can see it. Yes, Chad also reminding me that kaiju fights, but with mechs, is basically just Pacific Rim. So yes, you are correct. Thank
That
you,
is
Chad.
wow.
Chad always remembers.
I just had a revelation. Okay, so we have another race, and I am happy to inform you this one is just as silly. Except I have good news. These ones are not frame perfect, and they look even goofier. So I'm gonna crash at this corner. Why? Because it's Crash Out 2025, I guess. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, this one makes even less sense. That's just where the checkpoint is. So.
And the checkpoint takes you back. So it's still putting you in front of the lap marker, but it doesn't turn off the ability to go backwards across the. Interesting.
Very silly. And now we have the charge boots, which you can do some pretty silly stuff with these. This is if you're again keeping score at home. This is our final form. Now we have the charge boots, which again, if you know Ratchet speedrunning, the charge boots. There's some form of charge boots in almost every Ratchet game, and they work wonders. So these last few planets, that feels weird to say. Last few.
Once we were but the humble mudkip, and now we are Swampert, except for the fact that we can't take a hit.
And boy, does it feel good to be Swampert.
I imagine Pokemon speedrunners could tell you the moment when you get to the final evolution on your starter is a good feeling. All right, more decoy glove strats.
I love the void of the outside of the level.
Yeah, it seems like this game really just has particularly creative ways to get there. There are some games where it's really just simple as like find a level seam or like put yourself in between a filing cabinet and a ceiling and you'll wiggle your way out eventually. It seems like what you have going on here is a lot more complicated, but for that matter, a lot more satisfying to get it down.
Like I said, the movement in the Ratchet games, there's lots of nuance, so it leaves lots of windows open for creative ways to get in and out of bounds when we need to. Okay, so this is the next ship section. So, like I said, with the nuke, very trivialized. You shoot one at the glass. 5 of the 6 transponders break, and then you just shoot the last one. Very simple.
Amazing. And I know casually that is a difficult level because I spent countless hours struggling on that as a kid. So seeing you knock it out within a few seconds is just, oh wow.
So this planet, Tadano, is a really good example of just how much the charge boots change how the game plays. As you see, we're flying up walls, we're Not flying high enough walls, but that's okay. We're flying into walls. And normally, Hidano has a bunch of different paths you have to complete normally in order to get to that last one. So, and we just beat it in 30 seconds. If everything goes according to plan, everything I just said will apply to this next planet, Bolden. However, like I said, at this point, we died to almost everything in one hit. So, hopefully they're nice to us.
Ratchet's just a pinball now. Just ricocheting from place to place.
I had the wrong gun out. Oops. Thankfully, they all missed me there. Not quite. So, this is one long, very winding path, and the exit is inside that dome there. So we're going to try and clip through the dome, and this is one of those strats where it is kind of just better to just keep trying. But again, we died to almost everything here in one hit, so there's not really, that should work, okay. There's not really time to set things up. So you do kind of just have to land and yeah. And I'll spare everyone the technical side, but I keep using the word nuance today, but there's lots of nuance with like how you have to move around it and where you can and can't stand and can and can't clip through. Dude, Clank is not having it today.
Oh yeah, they're currently in prison right now in the game. I thought that was worth mentioning.
Oh, he does seem to be trapped. Oh, never mind. There we go. Commentator curse. I just said he seems to be trapped, and that set him free. So, I guess technically commentator uncurse.
And then once again, just like the last Clank section, this is more stuff with me punching into a corner and then pressing the camera up against Clank to push him through. These can be a bit goofy, but thankfully we got through just fine. It was the box that wasn't having it today.
True. Well, I'm glad we got out of the box. Sorry, everyone. These are the jokes. Thank you for supporting Hotfix in spite of this. I mean, possibly because of, but mostly in spite of.
I think that deserves the $1 million award for best bad joke I've ever heard.
Oh, no.
And I mean that in the most affectionate way possible.
I appreciate it. But no, if you enjoy what we do here, remember that your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, bits, all of those contributions help keep our shows running. So if you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing for exclusive emotes, the ad-free viewing, and access to the chat during the replays after the stream each day. You can also always support the stream by sharing the Games Done Quick channel with friends.
Oh my goodness, you think the Clank movement, like, seems kind of difficult, and then you see the Ratchet movement.
Yeah, this is another, I'm probably going to say this for every planet coming up, so just to warn you, again, a reminder to everyone, we died to almost everything in 1 or 2 hits, so I have to be very careful about how I move here. And one thing to note about this particular section is So you saw the Clank section that we just came from. That's the first of 4, or I guess 5 separate parts. This area. There's normally, you play as Clank, and you play as Ratchet, and you play as Clank again, and you play as Ratchet again. And then you meet up at the end. This is the end of the second Ratchet section that we just skipped to. So because I did those all out of order, I have to reload here to get Clank back. And then we can proceed.
I'm glad it works out that way. I know a lot of times those sort of skipping sections is like, well, the game figures if we got to this section, we must have done X, Y, and Z in between. Apparently not in this case. Thankfully, loading solved the problem. So.
There we go. All right. This is normally, I think, one of the longest planets in the game, and minus a few deaths, because gotta have a few, of course. Got through it pretty well. So this is the final ship section, and same basic thing applies. We shoot a nuke. Now they're all pretty heavily damaged, and now we just become the cleanup crew.
Brilliant.
Well, it looks
Simple as.
Easiest that I didn't even realize we were done until we got back to a cutscene.
Snivelag.
This is maybe a controversial take, but I think this is maybe the best music in the game.
I'm so blinded by how it is to play casually. This is like every time I've played this game, this planet's been difficult for me. So I hear the music and I feel a slight dread.
Yeah, no, that tracks.
Yeah. I have a funny feeling I know why, if you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Our friend Thanos is here again.
Yep, Thanos is here, and would typically take, I would say, at least for me, casually, about 20 minutes to beat on my own.
So, I love this game, but I'm your friend, so I'm not gonna lie to you. This game is not perfect. And this boss fight is the reason this game is not perfect. So, I think I'm already... Hold on, I'm gonna set this up again. He's really far away from the bridge. More on this later, but yeah, this boss fight, casually, you have to bounce between all the different turrets that are set up throughout the city, and 20 minutes is no exaggeration.
It's just an unreal boss. I remember watching my dad as a kid. He struggled with this boss so much. It was such a struggle for, like, not just like kids but also adults. Anyone who played this game has probably at least had a few struggles with this guy.
He's pretty mean. And there's a very simple way to beat this fight with a weapon that I don't have because we skipped over it, but this is a little bit faster. It's also 100% more dangerous. The reason I grabbed the extra nanotech at the start there is so I can survive taking more than one hit here. But
you only took the one, so
yeah. The one is just kind of like a safety net, and my safety net fell through pretty fast, so I was a little worried. But we got through that. All right.
It turns out giant robots have the same weaknesses as many other humanoids. Who knew?
It just feels really good seeing that boss get taken down so quickly.
I can imagine.
It makes my childlike soul just very happy to see.
Yeah, that is. I think a lot of people have similar disdain for that boss fight. All right, there you go.
Bonk.
One hit.
And I could not throw the decoy fast enough. I think this will still work. Okay, we're good. This is also a pretty difficult planet, but for more conventional reasons. A lot of movement stuff. And at the very end here, there is a grind rail that you're normally supposed to slide down, but we're gonna climb up it. And I have to do this in a very specific way because if I don't do this leapfrog move, climbing up it, I will just slide back down. And I'm gonna try and line this up to where we can charge right across it. Now, if I let go of R1, which holds this charge out, I will slide back down. But thankfully, that did not happen. And we can just reload back to the ship.
It's also a very difficult trick for not just new but also experienced speedrunners. I've seen many fail on that one area. So that was really well executed.
Thank you. All right. Final two planets. The big thing to note is I'm going to be upgrading our the final weapon that we have to upgrade that we're going to use to fight the final boss. And this is also another. It's pretty funny because again, normally there's a bunch of very like winding paths you have to go across in order to get to the end here, which this is the end. I don't know how far into the run we are, but we haven't given the monologue about Insomniac basically makes all their maps in these giant circles. So when you get to the end finally, you can just go right back to the ship without this crazy backtrack. And conveniently for us as speedrunners, that means normally we don't have to go very far to get to where we need to go.
Just like that really difficult planet that would usually take several, I think even like a tool to try and get to some areas is just obliterated.
If you think about it, there's a bunch of different gadgets you normally need at this point on top of those Yeti that I just went past. Insomniac, we love you and all you've done. But they are so poorly designed that Insomniac themselves are self-aware enough that they have what is called the Yeti Award for the worst designed enemies in all of their games, and that spawns from this game.
It really hurts finishing that boss on Snivelak and then going to a new planet only to see that those Yetis are waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God. I got through that miserable boss fight. What's next? Oh, no.
Oh, and the XP here. Sorry. I was just going to mention the XP grind that Marathon Man's doing. I'm pretty sure the proto-pets there have a significant amount of XP, so reloading the game and going back to the spot while keeping a few alive allows you to level up your weapons really quickly, and he's chosen to upgrade the spider bot glove in particular.
Not quite. It's at the very end, but we're going to continue this on the final planet, which I did not stutter. This is the final planet coming up.
Yep.
Which has two parts. The first part is this exterior section, which we're going to climb about the side here. And
I was about to ask when you said there's two parts, how much of those two parts will we be playing today, Marathon Man?
Thankfully, not a whole lot of this first one. This is honestly, I think, one of the best like final areas in any game because they really do just throw everything at you. So there's combat, there's almost every single gadget gets used, whether it's for more conventional stuff or just like stuff that makes you think, really out of the box sort of stuff.
I see we've gotten to use both meanings of out of the box today. Excellent.
See, that one came free of charge.
So you're saying I don't need your pay? Okay, I will just disregard that you gave me your PayPal address before the show. Ooh, precise placement.
Yeah, this is very scary because they can turn around at any point and start shooting me, and I need to very carefully cut this corner here, which I did, and I need them to not kill the proto-pets here, which they are doing, so I would... Oh my god. They're really making me sweat here. Okay.
It's a very tight section of the game, this level.
This should be enough to... Okay, thank goodness. And then I'm going to put that decoy there and hope that they all fall for it, which it looks like they are. One dude sees me, but that's okay. I'm going to lower this bridge. And before they start shooting me, sneak past all of them. Which, if they had shot me, then we would have been back at the start. So we're coming up on time. But before we do that, I need to address something very important. There is a big seizure warning with this fight, with how I'm going to go about fighting him. And that I mean that in every, like, serious sense.
Yeah.
So if you are, I'll even pause and talk about this. If you are sensitive to flashing lights, I would highly advise looking away for the next 20 or so seconds. Okay.
We appreciate that.
All good. All right. So how this works is I'm going to try and stack 2 spider bots at the same time. And in doing so, I think this should still work.
Obliterating the health of the final boss.
And time.
GG.
GG.
And I cut that very close, so thankfully it all worked out. That's why I said time a little late. It's fine. I had to make sure.
Just wanted to be sure. Yeah.
All right.
Looks like they came in at about a 56-32.
I will happily take that.
Amazing.
Gentlemen,
Well done.
Very,
Awesome
very good.
tricks.
Thank you. I hope this was entertaining to watch. I love this game. I love this series. I love speedrunning these games. I feel very honored every time I get to showcase them for people such as here on Games Done Quick. Thank you again for having me. Big Chickenator, Davina, thank you again for joining me.
I was happy to join. It was so much fun. It was awesome seeing you play.
And
Yeah, my sincere pleasure to have the both of you here.
Of course. Big shout outs to Potty, who just ran, and Composer, who is about to run. I've been following both of them for a long time. Very nice people. Love both of them to death. And they're both definitely, I think, as far as skill in their respective games, 2 of the best in the PlayStation speedrun scene, for sure.
And the same could be said for you, my friend. Where can the people find you if they want to watch more runs like this one?
I stream almost every day at twitch.tv/marathonman. I just recently got Twitch partner a few months ago. I'm very happy about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You can find me on Twitter at marathonmanprod, which productions. And Blue Sky is marathonman.bluesky.social. I believe is how they have that labeled out.
Very cool. And for yourself, Big Chickenator?
Yep, you can find me on Twitch. I don't stream as much as Marathon Man, but I do stream a couple of times a week. Of course, at Big Chickenator. I'm also on Blue Sky and Twitter under the same name. On Twitter, I might be under Devubna, but primarily you can find me on Twitch. So feel free to pop in and say hello if you'd like to.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much to the both of you, and thank you to everyone out there continuing to watch the GDQ Hotfix and Out of the Box. If you thought this run was nasty, look forward to the next one where we'll be taking down... Welcome back to Out of the Box on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. Tonight we've seen the, let's be generous and call them historically inspired worlds of Crash Bandicoot 3, the sci-fi worlds of Ratchet and Clank 2, and now we're taking it to the fantasy realms of the Dragon world with an 80% run of Spyro the Dragon by Composer. Composer, let's get to it.
Awesome, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm going to be doing any percent, which is starting to become one of my favorite categories in this game, and I'm excited to show y'all it. So if I'm ready to start, let me know and I'll count us down.
We're ready when you are.
Alrighty, on go. 3, 2, 1, go. So we're going to be starting out actually with an immediate difficult trick. This is not something I'm expecting to hit in a marathon. It's never been done before. This is triple frame perfect. It's called Nestor Skip. Let's see if we can hit the first Nestor Skip in a marathon here. And I'll explain what it is, whether I hit it or not after this here. Ah, very close. So essentially what I was trying to do there, that dragon, that first dragon in the game is unskippable. And for a while, because of that, it was deemed that he's not worth to grab because to kind of touch on the requirements of this game, we need 50 dragons by the end of one of the later homeworlds, but you can void out on top of him just perfectly so that you collect him and don't have to watch his cutscenes. So that was that trick I was going for there. Very difficult, not too surprised I missed it, but very close attempt there.
Yeah, no, the Nestor Skip is such a fun, interesting trick that was found surprisingly recently, just because, I don't know, you'd think we would have figured out how to skip Nestor, and for a long time we just assumed it never happened, but it makes the routing really fun in this game. The requirements for this are 6,000 gems, 50 dragons, and 5 eggs, and so we kind of have to balance all of those different requirements through all the levels to, find what's optimal. And more recently, we've been realizing, wow, there's a lot more to routing than we thought. Everyone keeps thinking we've got it solved.
That's what's interesting about this category is so many games are, you need to get, these specific items to progress before you can beat X boss. But in this game, you don't have to get specific items. You have to get a certain amount of them, right? And because there's, 14,000 gems in the game and you only need, 6,000 of them, you can choose which gems you want and don't, depending on, what we find to be more optimal or quicker to get. You drop some gems earlier on, you just leave them behind and get some new ones later, It's a very interesting kind of routing category because of that.
Yeah, and like you described with some of the tricks, I've watched some of your VODs recently, and just hearing you describe, this part of the route was redone extremely recently while you're doing, like a PB stream.
Yeah, we're gonna cover some of that stuff for sure. The routing in this category was kind of stagnant for years, up until about a month ago. I'll let Kara go ahead and touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, the main things with routing was we had one kind of trick get taken out, and then for a while the route stayed the same for the past 2.5 years. My sense of time is so warped since I've joined the community.
Understand.
Recently we've had tons of things like Nestor Skip being discovered, trying to reroute old tricks back in, and figuring out what dragons are going to be the best to get with new tech, called skitter bounce jumps or skitter boosted jumps. You'd think I'd know the tech name, but
speaking of tech, this is going to be our first example of a wall glide here. So you're going to see Spyro's precisely gliding along the wall like that. It gains him a bit of height, just enough so we can get out of bounds like that, just so we can get over to this dragon quickly. That wall glide's actually used in every major category for different purposes. In the 120% category, as well as Vortex, it's used to get into the toasty level there early, but we still also use it just to get to that dragon quickly.
And
just like that, we're at the end of Artisans.
Yep. I believe at this point we've collected 11 dragons and like 120 or so gems. So, just starting out, any artisans tends to be mostly focused on getting dragons for the first requirement that we tend to overlook of 10 dragons. Because, early levels not as bountiful in gems quite yet.
Yeah, exactly. Every balloonist at the end of every homeworld has their own requirement. And because there's that 10 dragon requirement at the beginning of Artisans, it's really just beeline to every dragon and get the good gems along the way. And now we're entering Dry Canyon, which is really where these kind of newer route changes have kind of come to a head. Carl was mentioning this new tech called a boosted skitter jump, which has kind of like been the tech of 2025 in Spyro. I'd say lots of things have been discovered with it recently. And because of that, we're able to get to a dragon that was normally extremely difficult to get to normally, task only, some would say. But with this new tech, it's quite like doable to get to. And that's what's made routing in this category so like different now, is when you implement a new dragon, it kind of changes everything, right? You throw a gem in and out here or there. That doesn't really change the majority of the category, right? Oh, I get this green instead of that one. But when you get a new dragon, you have to choose what dragon to get rid of, right? And so because of that, this dragon I'm going to be getting at the end of this level is going to let us skip an entire level, Shemp, because Shemp only had one dragon. I'm going to do this jump here, which is, I missed it. That's quite a hard one. Not a big deal. That's probably the most reset heavy jump in the early game in this category, but no big deal. We just do a backup here to go over there. Get some few extra gems on the way.
Yeah, it's nice to get these extra gems, which, when you're going for world record, not really what you want, but especially for beginners, even when I was first starting out, I'd go for that jump, even though it's quite difficult. And
right there was that boosted skitter jump. And so because we just did that boosted skitter jump over the wall, we're now going to this section of the level that was normally really hard to get to quickly. And so this whole section I'm doing, getting all these gems, killing all these enemies to get to this dragon, this is all really new territory. This was not a thing that was known about until about a month ago. And so now that we got this dragon here, Ivor, it's going to allow us to skip that whole Shemp level, like I was saying, which saves a lot of time, but loses us quite a few gems. And we will later in the run touch on how we're going to recover those gems later on.
Going into Cliff Town now.
As it turns out, we have Shemp official in the chat apologizing for only having one dragon for us.
It's okay. Shemp's a homie. We love Shemp here. So I'll go ahead and let Kara talk about this trick here.
Yeah, here we have the first proxy of the run, kind of a Spyro original term, and then went on to talk about be used in other PS1 games. But it's called a squeeze proxy, where we're kind of squeezing between the corner of the level geometry and the mama's hitbox. And as it falls over, it pushes us up, gives us plenty of height, and we can get that first dragon really early.
Yeah, normally that dragon is designed to be casually for the end of the level, but it's quicker for us to just go up there right away and get it first. And an interesting thing about this level, this is quite a movement-intensive level. There's a lot of just little things that go on in this level for gem collection. Flaming these mamas and pots at just the right angles to get their gems and not bonk into them. Cutting corners like I just did there. This is one of those levels that on a surface seems simple, but if you watch a top runner versus a newer runner do this level, they may get all the same gems, but you'll see like 20-30 seconds of movement difference. It's one of those, one of those levels. I always like to say in a speed game, they're the levels that you can tell the intermediate from the top runners just from watching the gameplay, and this is one of those levels.
Absolutely. Coming out of Clifftown here, back when we would do Dr. Shemp, we would be going into that level, but now we're going to be skipping it, just grabbing these gems right in front and going around. It's quite funny. Like, it's the time save of it is mostly from the level load, actually, because there's about 20-22 seconds of time wasted just waiting for the game to load the level and then load back out.
Yep, if we happen to time this game loadless, it would probably make that level worth it again. But because the RTA timing of having to wait for a load is there, ends up making it not worth it. And here we have our first flight level of the run. These are pretty notorious casually. People probably have fond memories of these levels, barely not getting the last item right when the timer runs out. But once you learn a route to do these flight levels, you are quite comfortable with beating the timer that the devs put on it. And it's quite a interesting feeling part of the game. It's much different than the regular movement. And a lot of runners neglect their flight level movement, I notice. It's quite a different skill set, and because it's only a few levels in the run, you either really love the flight levels if you dedicate the time to get good at them, or you are at the top where you're like, okay, I need to really shave off those seconds in these flight levels.
They're also
really
notorious for having some of the best music in the game.
Absolutely. And so it really is just basically beelining it to every object as quick as possible to collect them. Here we should probably see like a 10 something. Yeah, 10.03. Not a bad time. I like to aim for 59s when going for PB attempts, but I would still absolutely take that in a PB attempt if I got it. And we're now heading into our last level for Peacekeepers, Ice Cavern.
Ice Cavern's actually one of my favorite levels to watch and also to run through, because it's very like movement heavy. There's not a lot of fancy stuff going on, and it just feels really nice when things go well. And there's a lot of little places where you can see people get different gems just based on preference. A lot of things that end up kind of coming out in the wash in terms of, oh, how worth it is this red? How worth it is not getting it?
Yeah, 100%. Every top runner and you watch will get different gems. That green to the right of me, I don't get. Second place does get that green. Little things like that is what makes this category really interesting to me. And a little fun fact too about the routing in this game, as of recently, the top 5 players in this game all do completely different major routes from each other. That's how close in time a lot of the route differences in this game are, is every single player in the top 5 does a different route. And I think that there aren't many games you could say that about.
No, but it makes sense that with like new significant tech being introduced in the last month, that people are kind of still applying like rigorous scientific methodology to it. You know, it's like, 100%. All right, we have this new tool now. Let's take our new hammer to every, bend and crack that we knew before and see what it does.
100%, yeah. And there are our like trick hunters of the community who don't spend a lot of their time running, but do spend like all day looking at every corner, every wall, every jump that could be done with this new tech. And without those people, this game wouldn't have been pushed as far as it is, So yeah. As much as we like to, congratulate the world record holders for getting the times they get, those times would not be possible if it weren't for those people sitting there trying to find what is possible now, Yeah.
So many of us have become jaded to like what we've tried to find, and that won't work. But fresh eyes really help.
100%.
Yeah, shout outs to routers and glitch hunters and those sorts of technicians, especially.
Absolutely. Shout out. We got Days Bagabones, Tuvol. These are our routers and trick hunters of the community, and they deserve just as much admiration as the runners. So now we're here in Magic Crafters. This is really where the difficulty starts to ramp up, in my opinion. A lot of people say this is where runs go to die. And that really is just because of how much intricate movement goes into these levels and how many big gems there are. Like, there's lots of 5s and lots of 10s in these levels, and missing 1 or 2 of those can be the difference between PB and not at a top level. Where you could recover those gems later, but can you do it fast enough to still be on pace?
Yeah, we love to talk about how easy it is to recover gems later, especially at a beginner level. But once you are, going for like top 5, it's really tragic when you miss like just too many gems, and it's really gonna put a damper in your end game trying to make those up.
Absolutely.
Alpine here is a really cycle-heavy level, so you're gonna see Composer maybe decide not to go back for a gem in order to maintain cycles and not lose too much time.
Absolutely, yeah. You
That's
saw
the
me drop a
big
5 back
story in
there.
Ratchet.
Yeah, I dropped a 5 back there, which I decided to not go back for because this cycle here, if I don't make that cycle, it loses more time than just the movement that I wasted not making it. I have to sit there and go around the right and wait longer. And so because of mainly that cycle there, I'm probably going to choose to just move on from a gem in this level if I miss it. This is something we kind of neglect to talk about at a top level. You saw me bonk on that firework there, and when you're a kid playing this game casually, you're probably used to flaming them, and if you bonk into them, you're like, oh no, I lost the sparks, right? Well, it's actually quicker to bonk into them because they explode immediately, while if you flame them, you have to wait for them to explode. And so pretty much on every firework chest in this game, we try to bonk on it.
And then funky little out of bounds, not really out of bounds, but like the devs just decided not to put collision in that wall.
I was just gonna say that was
right through it.
that was a one-sided wall.
Yeah. The story of the PS1 with limited memory, there's a lot of instances where devs were just like, they're not going to try to go through this wall, and, speedrunners did eventually.
When you
Absolutely.
have to choose what textures to load at any given time, you have to make difficult decisions occasionally.
Yeah, something that's funny about exactly that, if you play the prototypes of some of the Spyro games, there will be collision in places that in the final game isn't there anymore because they clearly had to make a sacrifice at some point along development,
Sure, they're like, oh, we're at an object limit here. We can't fit anything else into this level.
Exactly.
That is a very cool snapshot into how this kind of development got done.
Now that section there looked easy on the surface, but that's actually one of the hardest sections in the game to get all the gems in. I'm doing a technique on those enemies called flame charging, which is where you flame and then immediately 1 frame later charge after you press the flame button. And if you do it at the correct spacing, which the spacing's quite tight, then the enemies will home in the gems as if you charged them. And some of those enemies you can't actually charge. And so you get the benefit of charging an enemy that you normally couldn't. Speaking of hard sections, I'll let Kara talk about this trick here.
Yeah, here we're going for what we call bite caves, which is actually a really old trick that for a while was actually taken out of the run. We're going through a supercharge, grabbing all these gems, charging through these like beetles that normally you're going to use super flame for, hard jumps, trying to make it up these ledges, zig back and forth for gems, and then just losing it right at the end, which easy backup for. Grab gems and real quick run through these fireworks chests. Lots of gems real quick, and for a while we were thinking, there was a while where it was kind of contentious, the worth itness. It's also quite a difficult trick, so making it worth it by not messing anything up eventually was just taken out of the route, but recently it's been added back in just because it's hard to pass up so many gems so quickly,
Yep. If there was a place for me to mess up that trick, it was where I messed it up. I probably only lost like 2 or 3 seconds to that. But yeah, for a while, this was in the route for probably 4 years back before I even played the game. And another top runner, Lumi Laura, found gems that made it seem like it wasn't worth it to go for anymore. But now we're at a point where, because of all the route changes, it's come back in. So that's an interesting thing, is sometimes tricks come and go depending on what point we are in the route.
Yeah, I'm imagining people digging back through the historical archives. It's like, all right, is there a place in between levels, 8 and 9 where we can find more gems?
Exactly.
Oh, this hasn't been done in years, but maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Quite literally that.
Some more fun supercharge action. This has never been taken out of the run. The composer has a special little triple he likes to get there, and truly nice, fast-paced, lots of gems, super worth it.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most visually appealing sections in the run. It's not that hard of a supercharge. It's pretty consistent once you're good. But it just looks so satisfying. It's oftentimes in speedrunning, you'll notice the really satisfying things are quite easy, and the things that are really hard don't look very impressive, you know? Go for a little triple here on these spring chests. That's a nice little satisfying one to get. That's quite a hard one to get down, but it looks and feels really nice to get. So that way you don't have to flame them individually. It was pretty clean Wizard Peak right there.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Had a little bit of everything. Had some strong fundamentals, got to show off a couple of fun looking tricks, and some little things that, we might not have appreciated the same way had you not described them, but very impressive all the same.
Here we're going to go for something called Boulder Skip.
Skip.
You saw me enter the back of the portal there at an interesting angle, so that way I had to rotate and get to Spyro slower, which you might be thinking, wouldn't you want to enter the level as quickly as possible? Well, by delaying Spyro loading into the level, he had this little animation where he continued to go forward. That's crazy, that missed. And by him going forward slower, he actually touched that dragon in front of the portal right when I entered it. So now he's freed, and I don't have to sit there and skip him.
Yeah, as we're coming out, you'll see that the dragons just magically disappeared, and we'll be able to move on quite quickly. Saves about 6 seconds over getting it intentionally. If you miss it, you lose about 8, because little micro detail of the game is when you touch the dragons from certain spots, Spyro walks real quick to the spot he's supposed to go to. But if you touch on the opposite side, it'll take like 2 full seconds to make it over there. So micro optimizations and funny little details.
Yeah, I did have to recover that plane I missed in the beginning there, losing about 5 seconds. That's actually a pretty rare miss for me.
Yeah, that was quite crazy.
Yeah, no, if you asked any runner of this game, they'd be surprised to miss 2. But sometimes the flame hitbox doesn't line up with what it looks like every now and then. And so, Now, this level is one of my favorites. I'll let Kara talk a little bit about what's gone on in this level.
Yes. Blowhard, very cycle-dependent level. It's the second you load into the level, there's these moving platforms that are going up and down, and we're trying to catch certain cycles. And way back in the day, we had the cycle, the end-all, be-all cycle, fast cycle. And everyone thought that was the best we could do, and then we realized, we can go faster. And that we called super fast cycle. And then we realized we could go even faster, and it was super duper fast cycle, and it just kept getting out of hand. Ooh, clean work up those moving platforms.
Yeah, so that was the fastest cycle that you can hit. That we eventually called super duper fast cycle, and we realized that this naming scheme isn't going to work, and so we started giving the cycles numbers. So we called that cycle there cycle 0, and every cycle past that, cycle 1, cycle 2, etc. But some would argue that maybe Super Duper Fast Cycle would have been a better name. What do you think?
Yeah, it's quite funny. I would like to take credit for coming up with Super Duper.
So I dropped a few gems in this level, which normally would be a big deal, but I'm actually on a quite good gem count this run. This is quite a bit above what I'd like to see, and that's actually partially because I missed that trick Nestor Skip at the beginning. Doing Nestor Skip loses some gems, but saves some time. And so because I didn't hit it, I was able to get some extra gems. And so we're on a pretty comfortable gem count going into Beast tier.
Beast Makers. This is where we were saying Magic Crafters is where the difficulty ramps up. Beast Makers is where things get turned up to 11. As we go through a lot of the levels, you'll probably recognize some of the enemies, and from your childhood getting, eaten by these shrubs, hit by these frogs. And let me tell you, those same struggles exist for speedrunners still.
Yeah, it is kind of ironic. The hardest levels casually end up being the hardest levels speedrun-wise, but for completely different reasons.
Those boars, too, they can come out of nowhere and really get you.
Yeah, they're quick. And into our second to last flight level here, Wild Flight. This one has quite a few different routes. they all end up being pretty similar in speed to each other. I do a unique route that I found a few months ago here that ends up being even with another one of the fastest routes that the other top players do. And so there's some variation here, but they all really end up being around a second from each other. The easy beginner route is only about a second slower than the advanced route in this level. So it's one of those things where for a while, the world record holder in this category about a year or two ago, Ashriel, did the beginner route just because they felt no need to invest the time to practice for hours and hours and hours just to save a second.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is going to be a tight one. Barely catching that cycle.
Clean.
All right, we got every runner's favorite level coming up here next, Misty Bog. And I say that with all the sarcasm in the world. This is genuinely where a lot of runners get stressed out. And I can let Kara explain what is so notorious about this level here.
Yeah, so Misty Bog is where all of the worst enemies live. One of which being the attack frog, my little mascot. So I'll do my best to try to convince them to give Composer here a pass today. But there's also a lot of RNG involved with these enemies in particular about when they'll pounce on you, exactly where they're going to jump as you're approaching them, and it leads to a lot of unpredictability in this game that for the most part is quite predictable. We don't talk about very much RNG in Spyro. At most of the time, the worst it is the gems have like a little slightly different like range that's based on RNG, but these enemies are where it really becomes noticeable and an issue at times.
Absolutely, yeah. There I had to do, I'm getting these extras for some reason. There I had to do some interesting movement at the beginning, just to ensure that I got those gems at the beginning there, and they were in what would probably be considered one of the worst patterns for them to be in. Same thing here, that guy didn't move when he usually does, so I had to take a step back.
Yeah, it's hard trying to balance all of the because there's the enemies that have RNG, and there's also enemies that are responding specifically to where you are, and so trying to balance those and improvise with the ones that are moving all over the place and deal with how that's going to affect the other enemies as well. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot of time that you can lose in this level without realizing it, just because of what you have to deal with the enemies, and also just like the skill level. This is where the high level players really get to showcase the skill.
Absolutely, yeah. Like the skill in this level, to me, doesn't come down to how well you handle good RNG. It's how well you handle bad RNG.
Mm-hmm. Coming up on a whole little gang of frogs in here, and quite pretty notorious room in Spyro, and Composer here making pretty quick work of all the frogs.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard section.
Yeah, making it look easy when it is definitely not.
I would say that's the story of this whole level. You've been describing what's difficult about it as you go, but everything looks like it worked out exactly like you wanted it to.
Yeah, Composer's made quick work of some not so ideal situations, making it not even notice some of the little tiniest hiccups.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean. When I say a good runner, you can tell by how well they handle bad RNG. There was quite a few situations in this run here where I had to make some things work that weren't ideal, but how well you make those work is really what sets aside a good runner from a great runner. Here you can explain the thief race if you want, Kara.
Yes, so here Composer's has this thief that but normally is ahead of you, but he likes to make these little pit stops at these enemies, waking them up to, intimidate Spyro. But you can sneak in front of him and beat him to this spot here, and you see he just disappeared, and he's gonna instead be over on this island immediately. You don't need to wait for him to run all over the level and then land. So cool little time save. There's lots of different ways to quote unquote beat the thief, and It's evolved a lot over the years. Cool optimization.
Yeah, I like to think that this was actually an intentional thing by the developers because the thing that makes that happen isn't like some weird bug in the game's code. There's a flag that gets set when you have beat the thief to that dragon, and if that flag is set, then he teleports. So we like to think that somehow the devs actually knew that could happen, and so, you know, shout out to Somniac for giving us a little time save there.
Whether it was to, you know, give speedrunners better tech or just to make sure that the thief didn't accidentally go somewhere in the level that he wasn't supposed to.
Exactly.
Whatever the case, it works out for us, and we appreciate that.
100%. Here we have a pretty cool trick called Stone Knot, which is named after a really old school runner. We jump on that log there, and it brings us up here early, and we can maintain the supercharge to go through all those fan chests and get to the gems as quick as possible, stopping us from having to flame them all individually.
Yes, in those fan chests, I take 3 flames each. It's a real pain. We only really go for the ones that have a 10 gem in them, and even then, it's pretty like, you know, is this worth it? So being able to supercharge through them makes it quick and easy. Composer got the best supercharge all the way around, and making quick work of that top section there.
Absolutely. Here we have another cool trick called Metalhead Out of Bounds, which you'll see here. I just phased through the wall because the enemy was right, like, on top of me. And if I hold X and square, as the enemy's on top of me there, Spyro kind of gets stuck, and the way the game handles that is by ejecting him outside the other part of the wall there, letting us go down there to that section and get the gems and the key quicker.
Yeah, normally you get what we call squeeze proxies from that, but this is one of the few instances where the game just says, no, we're going to put you through the wall. That's the easiest option here.
Now here there's actually a slightly new cycle. It's actually been found about like 5 days ago or so. I've never done it in a run because it's that new, but I'm going to be going for it here. So if I hit it, this will be the very first run I've hit this new cycle in. Beautiful. So I did the pylons there in a slightly different order than we're used to doing them, saving about 1.5 seconds. And there's a lot of interesting, like, position manip that's required to deload those pylons at certain points in the level, so that way the cycle is easier to make. Climbing stairs at slightly weird angles to make sure they don't get loaded, but a lot of labbing's been done recently to make that work. So pretty cool to hit that for the first time in a run here on GDQ Live.
Yeah, congratulations. You made it look totally natural.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of practice has gone into it recently.
I believe it.
Rounding out Metalhead, which we haven't really talked too much about the bosses in this game. Most of them end up kind of just being like these chases where you're kind of just chasing them from checkpoint to checkpoint. Metalhead's kind of the only one where, like, it's not really just a chase. He's got those pylons, and it's, in my opinion, the most interesting of the bosses, if you can call them that, in this game.
For sure, especially since you can route those pylons differently, as we've seen, so ends up making for some cool speedrunner stuff. That 5 there that I just grabbed, you have to go really, really quick to make that cycle. You saw that he was about to zap the floor right when I flamed him, so if you even hesitate for a moment during this homeworld section here, you won't grab that 5.
Here we
and just
are.
like that, we're done with Beastmakers.
Yep, no more dragons needed. Cray right there just needed 50 dragons, so from now on we don't need any more dragons. We're just trying to get our last few gems for the 6,000 benchmark as we try to exit Dreamweavers. So it's a real mad dash for gems right now.
Absolutely, yep. Here we're coming up. Oh, that's a 10. We want that guy. Gonna take a second here. Yeah, that was a weird moment, but we recovered it well. Here we get a little damage boost that we call that there, where we get slapped by those guys and that knocks us above them. Normally, you're supposed to go up to these little cannons that you shrink them with later in the level. But by getting damaged, which gives us forward or upwards momentum rather, it allows us just to go right over them. It almost looks intentional when it happens.
Yeah,
looks
really
like they're
does.
just kind of rising us up to get over them. Wouldn't be surprised if a kid did it on accident, you know?
Yeah, so much of the tech in this game is super doable on accident. A lot of the newer stuff, not so much, which is why it took so long to find. But these damage boosts and even some of the proxies you can have happen on accident in casual runs. Also, at this point, we're doing our last flight level. We're going to get 300 gems here. And this is definitely the point where Composer's going to be thinking about how many gems they have left to get before the very end. And kind of deciding, what gems am I going to skip or have to go for in the final level coming up next? Jacques.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Jock's the last level that we collect gems in. So I take stock of my gems just as I leave this level to think about, do I need to get any extras in this level? So Jock is really where we back up all of the remaining gems we need to get to let the balloonist here take us to Nasty's world. And looking at my gem count, we're actually on quite a good gem count. I'm only going to need to recover about 3 or so in comparison to what the quote-unquote best gem route in this level is. But all things considered, this gem count going into Jock, pretty much anyone would be happy with.
Absolutely.
Going to do a little skip here. I actually did just miss a 5, so we are going to have to back up a few more than I expected. So now I'm 8 gems down. So you get to see the thought process in action. I was 3 down, and now I'm 8. So I have to consider what other extras do I want to get, right? So I just grabbed 4. Now I'm 4 gems down. And so I'm thinking in my head now, what are the best next 4 to get? And I think the decision I'm going to make is there's a 2 here that we normally don't get. This one right here. And now we're 2 down. And so my thought process goes, there's 2 reds outside the level that are a little slow to get, but they're the best ones at this point to get, so I'm going to have to get those. So even though it wasn't great to miss that 5, it was kind of interesting to be able to give a glimpse of what goes into a runner's head when they have to back up a gem in the last level. I had to on the fly make decisions that I wouldn't have had to make otherwise.
And once again, this is another one of those bosses in Spyro, Jacques, the namesake of the level. He's, chase, flame him, chase, flame him. Gives a lot of gems, though, about 175. So quick, easy gems. Grab these last 2. We're on our way.
Yeah, and this is a great pace. 35 Dreamweavers here was considered like the holy grail for a while, and we're on actually a pretty good pace here. So I'm going to ask for silence for just a moment for this trick upcoming here. But if I miss it, I'll go ahead and let Kara explain what I'm going for here. Very nice. So that was actually a unique version of it. I'll let Kara explain what happened there.
Yeah, so that's Rat Proxy. If you've known anything about Spyro 1, you've heard about it. But lately, we've been experimenting with a lot of versions of Rat Proxy. The latest thing was like, you can surf on the rat and hit him with the back of your hitbox. And there, Composer got a particularly far back rat. And so had to kind of do like a wiggle motion and stay in front of the rat's hitbox in order to maintain in front of the rat, but still being pushed forward by it to get into the corner and then have the rat come up behind them and proxy Spyro straight upwards to get on top of the portal frame. That is quite a hard
variation,
variation to manage on the fly there.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that's the most knowledge-heavy trick in the game. It's like a flow chart. The rat moves in random positions, so you have to be prepared for what you have to be doing for each position.
Yeah.
But we're coming up on time here in 3, 2, 1, and a 37:17 is by far the best marathon time ever performed in this game, and so I could not be happier with that performance.
That was amazing.
What about Ganesh?
I think that would be 5th place on the leaderboard.
His toast.
So
Yeah, you should be
now
very, very
there's
proud
order
of that.
again in the Dragon Kingdom?
Well, mostly.
Man,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you're right. We're very
What
close to
will
it.
you do next?
Yeah, so timing starts on first movement in this game. When I counted down from the menu where GDQ started, it's still a 37 from that timing, which is wild. But from leaderboard timing, this is a 37:17, which, couldn't be happier.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank JDQ for having me on here. I had a blast showcasing any percent. And, since the theme of this hotfix is out of the box, something we didn't touch on very much is that this category absolutely has a low barrier to entry. pretty much anyone can pick it up and learn a simple route, learn a beginner route, and put a rundown in, just a couple days of learning. The thing that I love about it is it has a high skill ceiling, right? It's not hard to pick up, but the more you practice and learn this route instead of that route, do this trick instead of not doing it, it becomes really, really difficult at a top level. But if you're just trying to put a rundown, you absolutely can just do one out of the box.
Yeah, and it sounds like you have an extremely supportive community and a lot of resources at your disposal who'd be happy to bring you in if that's something you're interested in doing.
100%.
Yes.
I personally think I've been in a few gaming communities in my life, and I've never found a community as supportive as the Spyro community. We all love helping new runners, almost a little too enthusiastic too at some point. People kind of rushing in to help because we want new people, but genuinely, I love this community. I want to give a shout out to the Spyro Discord, discord.gg/Spyro Speedrunning. If you found this run interesting at all, or you just want to, lurk around and see what other speedruns there are in the Spyro trilogy, absolutely join. I wouldn't have joined this community if it weren't for a marathon run shouting out that Discord. So I find it very important to shout it out myself as well.
Thank you so much for that and for this amazing run. If the people want to find more from each of you, Composer, Adkara, where can they do that?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/C0mposer. That's composer with a 0 replacing the first O. I'm a little bit inconsistent with streaming, but I go live a couple times a week when I'm feeling like it and have a good time. You go ahead, Kara.
Yeah, I'm, Adkara on Twitch. And, when I do stream, I stream on a daily basis, but haven't been streaming recently. So, we'll get back into it. We're both going to be going to Europe pretty soon. So when we get back, surely I'll start streaming again, right?
Surely.
Definitely. Without a doubt. Well, without a doubt, that was a fantastic run. Thank you so much to the both of you for bringing that to us and for all of you out there for watching it. We've got
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We got a few quick announcements before we call Out of the Box a wrap for the week. And that is, if you liked the theme of rescuing friends that we had in this run, we've got a couple of friends you should be watching out for in upcoming marathons on the GDQ channel. The annual Sonic Hotfix event is back with Sonic and the Sega All-Stars live on June 14th and 15th at 12 p.m. Eastern each day. It's expanding beyond Sonic-only speedrunning this year to include other iconic Sega franchises, so use ¡Sonic in chat for the full schedule and let us know what you're excited for. And if you're looking for something right after that, Juneteenth celebration from Black in a Flash is running on the GDQ channel June 19th to 22nd. Yeah, that's 4 full days because there was just that much black joy to celebrate. So you can use !Juneteenth in the chat for the full schedule and go to gdq.gg/BAF to learn how you can get involved in the Black in a Flash community. You can also follow their new Blue Sky page at blackinaflash.bsky.social to stay connected. And with that all said, stay tuned because there's an amazing